to set up an environment for me to succeed in my goals through this year's goals. So I'm glad to be here, glad to talk about my accomplishments, and to solicit feedback on how I might make sure that I achieve these goals. So as I spoke to earlier, officer recruitment is extremely difficult. I know we're not alone in this in law enforcement. I know recruitment of quality candidates is a struggle in every industry. Fortunately, in law enforcement, it's an extreme struggle. Finding even interested candidates is difficult, and finding qualified candidates is even harder.
Any questions, Mary Jo?
No, I don't.
No, that covered it.
I do have a few. I'll stick with the employee satisfaction survey, the Chief Moore's stay interview. I can't stress highly enough that the next time we do something like that, we take notes and we maintain the data. A brief summary isn't very concrete, unfortunately.
This is new to me. I don't know best practices. I would absolutely welcome to make it the best possible product that we can build.
I do want to ask, I know that we are going to appoint a lieutenant. That position has been open since October 2021. In December of 2022, you told us it was your priority to fill that, and I wonder if you can explain the 2-year gap.
Sure. Now we tread into the difficulties of public meeting, where we are on the verge of talking about a lot about personnel and sensitive matters. I can share with you that, as we know, August 24th of 2022 was when I learned about our employee's involvement, and ultimately that led to his indictment for, what is it, the allegation is?
Child rape.
Child rape.
Child rape. So that's tragic, if true. It's horrible. It makes our department look bad. We began trying to dig ourselves out of a hole. In January, I learned that a sergeant was implicated in some way in it. So,
I think in December 2022, we did not know how quickly that would wrap up. So we knew that Porter was on leave, but we didn't know.
Well, Porter was no longer a candidate for the lieutenant spot anyway, so we're just talking about the lieutenant spot. He was the deputy.
I'm talking about it being kind of in a limbo situation. It could have been resolved soon or not, so.
The lieutenant spot was never in limbo, actually. It's been open since Jay Porter was promoted in October of 2021. So that position has been open.
okay.
And it's now posted. It was a priority 2 years ago for you.
Okay.
And what was the lag? What was the gap?
So as a department head, you have to make thousands of decisions. There are things that I can't tell. There are things I can't tell you right now that are going on. And I had to make those decisions based on the staffing level. The idea of stripping a uniformed patrol member out of patrol when we were facing tight shift guidelines. We took great efforts to keep the uniform shifts staffed. We removed school resource officers and detectives to feed the uniform patrol. And we kept moving forward, like just things I can't talk about.
So candidly, that doesn't explain the gap. I'm just being candid. You needed to either promote your officers that were, and by the way, still are doing an excellent job. You got sergeants that have been holding the rope for 2.5 years. So much so that they sent you a letter asking for relief in this situation. So this isn't just me wondering about this. This isn't just your sergeants who've been struggling and holding the rope. It's the community wondering why there's this gap. So I didn't get an answer to why there's a gap, right? I'll just acknowledge that. Who's been doing the job since October 2021?
Primarily? For the most part, it was largely me.
What explains the gap in the deputy chief position from May when we know that that position is open?
Mrs. Kramer, you know, we've spent a lot of time talking about this. You know, in May, you began a maximum campaign of pressure against me, against the department, in support of your friend. And it's becoming extremely uncomfortable.
Through the chair, can I
Yeah?
add to it? So, two things. Absolutely, I think
I
this
just
is
want to
something
make
we want to
sure
solve.
that I get my question answered. What accounts for the gap without speciously suggesting that I have been on a personal campaign? I'm just going to put it out for the record that that is not true. Stick to the question, please.
Well, we're here to also talk about my feelings, right? I am your employee.
The deputy chief's job.
Can I speak?
Sure.
I expect to be treated professionally.
Yes.
I expect to not be retaliated against because I took action against your friend. You've said this publicly, repeatedly. You've refused to recuse yourself. You've twice investigated me against the district attorney's recommendation, and it's a very hostile work environment.
How about this?
I would like-
How about this? It's your job to build your team. Tell us why you didn't post for a deputy chief job or a lieutenant job. It has nothing to do with anything else. Tell us why you didn't do your job.
I've explained it.
No, you haven't.
I have.
You absolutely have not explained it.
But I haven't explained it. It's
So in the absence,
satisfactory. I'll repeat myself. We were under intense pressure. We had staffing shortages. We had personnel issues, and I made a management decision to absorb those positions and workload into my own work. At the same time, I had the sergeants saying they wanted to learn more skills, and I've done it. Since July 1st, I met and moved all of my goals forward. We stand poised for a deputy, a lieutenant, we're hiring, and to focus on 2 years ago,
look at the last 6 months.
If I may end.
Look at the last 6 months.
If I may end, we did not have a review at the end of last year. This midterm review has never happened before. And,
It has.
okay, well, I'm sorry, then I'll explain it hasn't for me.
It
hasn't.
has.
This forum has never been done before for me.
Okay.
I've turned in my documents. This is an extremely uncomfortable forum.
It is. It's very awkward. It's awkward for us, and it's awkward for you, and I appreciate that.
I would have appreciated the opportunity to answer these questions last year.
Well, the deputy chief job came open in May. So speak to that one.
The deputy chief job,
Yes.
it's posted.
It is posted because we posted it.
Which is what the board did last time. It was open.
And the lieutenant's job. It's been open. Let's just go back to May. You've had full support of this board. Why hasn't that been moved forward?
Because around that time, I knew that there was a sergeant that was significantly involved in an incident. and it
You
wouldn't
had
be
already
appropriate.
put him on leave.
So he's on leave, he's under investigation pending. So if I hadn't done a promotion prior to that, I likely would have promoted a person who ended up getting terminated. And if I had promoted, and if he wasn't eligible afterwards, after he went on leave, so hold off the promotion to see the outcome. And then if he's eligible and he goes for it and he gets it, he gets it. Why, it seemed counterproductive to do it during that period. It took us from the report till February to resolve that.
So you also said here tonight that in the absence of the lieutenant's slot being filled and the deputy chief slot being filled, you have taken on all those roles.
No, I'm taking on many of them.
And I would suggest to you that the evidence suggests that it's the opposite. Your sergeants have been leaning in heavily and doing an excellent job for this town, but they need relief. They even put it in writing.
I agree. The promotions are important,
And that was your job.
and I've done it.
You have now made progress
I'm
on
going
it.
to call for a point of order.
Sure.
I think we're getting very personal here.
Yeah.
And this is the stuff for executive session. This isn't the
This is
stuff.
performance, ma'am.
It's more than performance, and I think,
If you want to make
we
a
are
motion.
all have spent the past year or months not being able to tell anybody why we've done what we've done and what decisions we've made. Why is this man any different than we are?
Because it's his job to do these. These are his job. These are his.
It's our job, and we haven't been able
Adequate
to
answer.
defend ourselves at
We're in the
all.
middle of, 2 active investigations, and, I mean, I think the answer you just heard is his answer. That there was an active investigation going on, there was another person that probably would have been promoted, and it turns out he was terminated because of his involvement in it.
I'm sorry, we all mean well, and on the same note,
Yeah,
we need
we
to
do.
be
And I think
very
you made your
careful.
point.
I have
We're
definitely
very
tried to
careful
make
about
my point.
confidentiality and ongoing
So there's
investigation matters. But
there's
to your
zero
point-
confidential
but
about.
to your point, are you-
About building your team and filling your structure and being a leader. So there's
Been
been.
impacted by this,
So
and we
if
cannot ignore.
If we just look at the lieutenants and the deputy chief job, there's been no action on those until I spoke up 4 weeks ago, whatever it was. I don't know the time. No action until we made it happen. And we made it happen, I made it happen with a very uncomfortable presentation. That is not the way this police department should be running. It's not being led right now effectively.
That's your opinion.
It is.
I
We don't
understand your
have that
opinion,
same
yeah.
opinion.
I think you may want to share.
So I'm sharing that there are gaps in the leadership, and they've been there, gnawing gaps in the leadership, and they've been there for a long time. Somebody is doing the job, and I would suggest to you that it is the sergeants, and we are not paying them extra to do this extra work. And that means we are all complicit in wage theft.
What is that? That's a new information.
It's not new information. It's not. Someone is doing that job, and it's the sergeants. And we're listening and nodding along, knowing that it is
We appreciate the
not.
surgeons, but
We
you
do
just threw
appreciate the
some other
sergeants.
stuff. I have to say, I mean,
They
we
need to be compensated if they are doing extra work. That's the bottom line. So let's talk about that.
That could be bargained. I'm fully
Yep.
supportive of our surgeons, our department, and our chief, but I don't.
That was opposite, but it doesn't matter.
Anyways,
And you know what? I think this is getting way out of hand.
way out of hand.
This is way out of hand. You've made your point.
I have made my point. Thank
Okay, so I think we're done.
Do you disagree or have other information that you want to share on
you.
this
So I
process?
have never insinuated that, so to be clear.
Okay. I'm happy about happy to hear that.
I don't really like to insinuate. I like to be really direct. So clearly, I am not happy with your achievement towards your performance goals. I'm going to say one other thing, one other inconvenient piece of information out loud. It has been reported by active duty officers to me that you are not regularly available during working hours, and we need to know if that is true or not. And I'm just going to say that.
I think it's fine that you say that, but you're always talking about you want to stick to a process. We have a process, and it's outlined in our thing. You're going way outside the 4 corners of what we're supposed to be talking
Performance is
about.
tightly within the 4 corners.
No, we
Leadership,
gave him specific
developing.
goals, and
Gave us
we're
specific
talking about
goals.
how he accomplished those goals.
All right, I'm done.
All right, next agenda item?